don't say anything important.
All right, we're live. Cinco de Mayo, everybody. Welcome. After
yeah.
yesterday was the Star Wars Day, right? The May the 4th.
The 4th be with you, yeah.
Right. So good to see you all. John Lavinia here with you live and in person. We did have yesterday, we had some great stuff going on. We had Books for Britain with Mandy Anderson talking about You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. Great book. And then we had Networking Magic, which was an intimate session last night, from what I understand. And so that was last night. Today we have this, what we're doing right now. And then, of course, tomorrow we have our general session and the Be Heard session, since I'm back. I will announce that late next week, I'm going to be, or mid next week, I'm going to be heading out to out west. So schedule should be just fine the way it is. But if there's any adjustments, I'll let you know. Today, present time, wanted to get with you a little bit about, well, I'll tell you what, I had an interesting morning so far, and I think it's something that we can get some instruction out of. And that is, I met with the guy who came to the house by my request. It wasn't just another solicitor trying to sell solar, which is like every day around here. We got 2 no soliciting signs now, 2 of them. We may go with a 3rd. Yeah. They're ferocious. But I called this guy who is an expert in wells and irrigation. Hey, Stuart. So he's a wells and irrigation expert. I don't know anything about wells. Living in Arizona, right? You need dynamite to get into the ground down there. Is there even water in there? I don't know. Maybe Stuart would know. He's more of the survivalist, right? So Stuart, if you were in the middle of the Sonoran Desert and you needed water, what would you do? Well, I know you could get some out of a barrel cactus, right? That's one thing you could do. But we do have a well that pulls in water for the sprinkler system. We got tap water from the city too. But the thing is that I could either do this myself. We need to add some sprinklers and stuff for the garden that we're putting in. I could either do that myself, or I could call the expert. Now, we've talked about delegation here before. 270 feet, $30 a foot out here, 270 feet of well. Wow, that's impressive. Ours is 4 feet. 4. Yeah, but you see, all of this is a big paradigm shift for me, right? The whole settings of the land, and the fact that you can have a well and all that. But the thing is that we're looking to expand this whole irrigation thing, and so I'm thinking, well, what do I do? Go to Home Depot, buy a couple sprinkler heads, put in some PVC or whatever. You know what? No. I got the card from the guy. He's the expert. And I called him and he showed up. And for free, he gave me like a 1-hour consultation on, first of all, everything that's wrong, because he wasn't the guy that put this system in. And he made some very specific suggestions on how to get a lot more benefit out of it. But the other thing is that I don't have any more guesswork about it. I have, well, maybe I could do it this way, or maybe that's right. Let me spend a week on it and whatever, which is my tendency to do. So all of you do-it-yourselfers here, God bless you. I've certainly done a lot of stuff myself, but I've also learned a bit, and am learning to delegate, because these are things where I know that I don't know. Now, earlier this week, or it was during our book study group, we talked about that hierarchy of consciousness and competence. Okay, so there's the bottom, just to review. The bottom is that you don't know that you don't know. You don't even know there is stuff to know. Total ignorance, not knowing this, not conscious of it either. Okay, the next step up would be knowing that you don't know. So you're conscious of your own ignorance. So you know that there is stuff to know and that you don't know it. Typically right around there is the possibility that I need to change, something needs to be different. I like knowing stuff. I like accomplishing things. Okay. And so we've got interest on perhaps a new area of endeavor, and enough interest anyway to realize that we don't know. Next step up would be conscious competence. So we consciously don't know, we're consciously incompetent, right? But then we learn because we decided there was a need for change, and we learn, and now we know, and mechanically we can do the thing now because we got some training and we know what to do. Above that, according to this hierarchy, would be unconscious competence. So I would call that mastery. I don't like the word unconscious so much because I can look at things where I've gotten great results in, but I still know the basics. So I didn't become unconscious of what got me there. Okay, but unconscious competence would be like you don't even think about it anymore. So kind of habitual competence, we could say, habitual. I don't have to sit around making decisions about it or think about, I think of Gordon Ramsay, right? My family and I watched every season of MasterChef. Anybody ever watch Gordon Ramsay cook? It's a pinch of seasoning and like salt's flying through the air. And like, how much salt was that? It was the right amount. It was the right amount. You don't ask Gordon Ramsay questions, right? It was the right amount. So that's a high level of mastery. So here's the question. How many times do I want to repair my own work? So let's say I choose, we can look at this in different areas of life. Let's say I choose to do it myself, which a lot of things in life I do. Okay. I could go and I can have a pretty good effect if I take the time to become consciously competent and do that thing. But isn't it also true that there are times, and think of this, I don't know, I'm imagining, let's say a woodworker. Anybody, I don't know, Stuart, I'm leaning on you today, buddy. You probably whittle, right? You got like a knife and you whittle stuff, maybe. Missy, do you whittle? Okay.
My son Stefan does, and he does a fantastic job.
Okay, great. So there you go. So we could look at, and this is an art, okay? We could look at, somebody whittling a piece of wood very technically and carefully, right? Trying to get the shapes that they're looking for to make whatever the item is. And then you go see the master, right? Here's someone who does this, for the last 50 years, like that's their art, passed down from the chief of the tribe and whatever. And it's like magic watching this person work, magic. Painters, right? Bob Ross. Oh, I loved Bob Ross, right? And he just, put a little color there, it's very nice. My wife and daughter went to a painting class, one of these social event things, and it didn't come out like a Bob Ross painting, but it was very, all right, now we're going to put how much of that, and you mix these two colors, right? And so it was interesting. I mean, there was a product at the end of it, but compared to the instructor, like a Bob Ross kind of guy, no comparison. Then you've got, since I'm on the topic of paint, then you've got Jackson Pollock and others of his ilk. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Any one of you right now, Missy, go get some buckets of paint and some sticks and whatever, and just start throwing shit. And like, it's worth $1 million, right? According to Jackson Pollock fans. So like, what is that? Okay. Now, is that how I want my irrigation system to come out? I'm thinking of what product do I want? Do I want we'll stick on the painting metaphor, right? Do I want here's my wife and daughter went to a social event and they came back with a couple of canvases and there was paint on it. There's paint and I couldn't make out what it was. Yeah. Or do I want the master who could do it, 10,000 times faster than me and do it better? Or do I want Jackson Pollock? Which is, I wouldn't say that bad as far as, what I've got here right now. I mean, the grass is getting watered, but There's definitely some improvements that could be made. Well, I'm gonna go with the pro. Now, here's the rest of the story: is that because this was a referral, because someone else had vocalized that they trust and respect this person's work, I'm not even going to shop. Guy showed up an hour and a half early, gave me some free chemicals for the anti-rust thing. You guys know if you pull well water out, I guess in certain regions you get this tank which you can supplement like a little bit of acid or something, and it doesn't make the rust stains on the white fence. I'm just learning all this stuff. I don't know. In Arizona, we do drip, right? Everything's drip. Here, you don't bother doing drip, right? Just blow the water in the air. So the point is that not only am I learning to leverage my time through the strengths of others, but I'm also having, you see, I've gotten more, let me say it this way, I've gotten more protective of my time as of late. And I think all of us deserve to do that, because let me tell you about the evolution that leads up to this. Anybody familiar with Robert Kiyosaki's work? I know many of us have read some of his books, right? One of them in the cash flow quadrant, he talks about 4 different quadrants from which people approach, making money and business and life and whatever. And so the first quadrant is the employee quadrant, which I was born into. Everybody I knew was broke. They all worked jobs, and there was never enough money at the end of the month. And, that whole story, lack, limitation, and essentially subscribed to some outside agenda, a corporate agenda. My boss, the company, okay, where they have caused an agenda to occur, and now I've subscribed to it. I am the effect of that agenda. And of course, you don't get paid what you're worth at a job. You get paid what the job is worth, right? So now I was born into that mindset. And there's no leverage there. You are the leverage for, the higher leaders, staff, managers, whatever, corporation. And it's laborious. And it typically doesn't pay well. Now, if that's your path, right? If you'd rather not flex your entrepreneurial muscles or express a bit more self-determinism, okay, well, you could survive with that path. It's infinitely better than, I guess, living off the dole or something, right? Which we've got 5 and 6 generations of welfare recipients. They were born into that, right? So that's the paradigm. That's the paradigm of go get a job, or the paradigm of, you're just, I don't know, part of the proletariat or something. And you're supposed to, people are supposed to do for you or something. I don't get that mindset. But you see, I was born into the employee mindset. Anyway, that's one of the quadrants. The welfare mindset, or the welfare thing, didn't earn a quadrant. Okay, so that's not productive at all. It's counterproductive. So employee is the first quadrant. The self-employed person, big step up. Okay, so now we're determining for ourselves. Now we're causing the agenda as well. Still laborious, potentially more money, or potentially lose money, right? I mean, self-employed. I mean, if you're going to stay in that quadrant for long, you damn well better be profitable. But now we're getting paid for results, not just for exchanging time for money, punching the clock, whatever. Okay, and yet little to no leverage. So just like in the employee quadrant, where's the leverage in that? Okay, so now you're just basically betting on your own strengths. And in a lot of cases, I've had to develop strengths out of necessity because, if you're a solopreneur or something, right? But more, what I found myself doing was gravitating towards things where just me and my wife, or, whatever the scenario is, where these are things we're already good at. So we're developing our strengths that already exist, and we're finding enterprises and opportunities to exploit, having already become competent, consciously or unconsciously competent in these areas. Still no leverage. Okay, but higher income, that's nice. Okay. The third quadrant is the business owner or the bigger business owner. Certainly a self-employed person has a business, but the bigger business owner, now we're getting into leverage. Now, and this is the evolution, if you will, of let's say, myself, my experience, and I think many of you can relate to this, right? So now that you know that you could be successful as an entrepreneur, as a self-employed person, well, can you be all things to all people? How do you scale up? How do you get leverage? Bob Proctor, rest his soul, he said, you want to develop your strengths and manage your weaknesses. Well, how do you do that? You manage your weaknesses through the strengths of others. I'm not the sprinkler guy, and which is not part of the business that I run. Okay, but still, I run a business right here, and part of our domicile is business space, and there's tax advantages to that and all. So yeah, I'm sure the business needs some new shrubberies or something, right? Got to have some curb appeal for when those people show up. For when the solar salesmen come to my house. But the thing is that now we know that we're not the best at doing something, nor are we interested in learning to be the best, because there's other people who will do it because our time is worth more than the money we would exchange with them to get that done. I know this may be a basic concept, but it's one that I've been highly resistant to, because growing up in the employee mindset, where there's too much month at the end of the money, or however that is, money, oh, my precious, right? Time, I don't know, it pisses away time. What's on TV tonight? But money. Yeah, I see a couple of heads nodding. Okay, so if money's your precious and time is worthless, it's going to be a big shift into the business owner quadrant, right? That's the shift right there, is that your time is worth more than your money. I'm not going to learn how to do the friggin' sprinkler system. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to pay the guy, and if something breaks, I'll call him again, and he'll come out and get it. I already know the guy's going to be awesome. By the way, anybody needs a reference in the Clearwater, Tampa Bay area for like a killer well and sprinkler guy, this is the guy, and he's been doing it like 30 years. Yeah, and he knows his stuff, and he can just look at stuff. It's just like the whittler, right? They can make one slice with the blade, and it's perfect, right? Whereas I'm trying to get it right. Hey, you got some power tools. What about that razor blade kit, the X-Acto knives, right? They're like, boom, it's perfect, So that's the business owner, okay? And so the fourth quadrant, which is another major shift, as Kiyosaki talked about, is the investor quadrant, right? So you've got now where you're not even showing up. Here's money, okay? My time is way valuable. Have some money and go grow it for me, because you, Mr. and Mrs. Entrepreneur, you are competent. You're awesome. Here's some money. Go scale up. Go be awesome. Do whatever you're doing, and then make me some more money. So when I think about this, really, this hierarchy, we talked about the hierarchy of competence and consciousness of that. But there's another hierarchy of the value of time versus other resources. Who's helped me with this quite a bit? Can you guys imagine? My secret weapon, Shannon. After she went through cancer treatments, the whole gamut, okay, double mastectomy, the chemo, all of it, she became, I think, much more awake as in terms of, well, how much life do we have here? I got like guarantees and stuff. Do I have? Am I here to suffer the time wasting distractions of never-ending, incessant, impingement on my attention? No. And so we actually, when we were in Hawaii last week, we had a conversation, like a battle plan. And you guys put together like a battle plan, like here's what we're going to accomplish, and here's the steps that are going to be taken to do that. And we're just, we're looking forward now. We're planning, as the old saying goes, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And so we did some planning. We had some downtime where we could actually do that and stop and look with nothing else impinging on our attention. So the next 5 years, what does that look like? And so we mapped out, like, here is the purpose, and here's the products we're going to create, and here's the actions that we're going to take, and here's what we're going to delegate. And we got to do that. And so that investment of, in our case, a week off the grid, in addition to, having swimming in waterfalls and, eating fish tacos. But in addition to that, we got to put attention on actually planning stuff. And one of the decisions that I made is that I'm going to be stepping out of some of the consulting work that I do. Stepping back from it, still having my hands in some stuff, but not with the things, not with the things where it takes up a bunch of my time, dealing with an individual, customer and this, returning phone calls and that sort of thing. That it's like, my goodness, what is my time worth? So this is part of the evolution, going up that scale of valuing time more. And I suppose, this comes with age. I don't know too many, 20-year-olds, maybe Gail, maybe, your son has some perspectives on this. By the way, I haven't seen Stefan in a long time. Hope he's okay. He's a member here. Would love to have him show up every now and then if he's open to it. But
he's working at a monastery, and the internet thing is so bad that there's no way he
got
can
it.
Tune in.
Okay, well, Stefan, if you see the recording, we love you. You're awesome. So in that case, right? I mean, that could be, maybe there's an indicator right there. It's just one specimen, okay? But here's a younger person who, I don't know what happens at the monastery. Maybe really exciting stuff. I don't know. Probably not. Anybody spend much time at a monastery? I've spent time in the ashram, which I guess is like a
Buddhist monastery, and he does the cooking for them. He's learned a lot about vegan food and different things, different spices and things. But he's also been doing a lot of the work outside, making a meditation garden and all that. So he's happy doing that for now, but that's where he is.
Okay. And so the only barometer isn't not just money. Money is not the only barometer. So if I'm talking about like the time money ratio, okay, here, have some money so I can save time. I don't want to learn this. I don't want to do it. You do it. Here's some money. That's one ratio that we can look at. The other thing we could look at is, and if that work is pleasing, just to use Stefan's example. So here's time that's being invested to get some sort of pay, recompense, and perhaps other kinds of pay. You get to hang around with monks and stuff. I mean, that sounds pretty, uplifting. It's probably, pretty calm and stable environment. He's probably not, dodging bullets or whatever, right? So there's some good survival potential there. But the, is there like, is it part of his like spiritual, path or whatever? I mean, look, I can go sit in an ashram or something for a few days and meditate and, whatever. Time's gone, but how did I get paid? What did I trade that time for? Furthering, my own consciousness, having a bit more of a cosmic experience, or however you experience, whatever words you'd like to use to grow spiritually. Okay. So what are we trading our time for? Is it worth it? So, and I'll tell you, if it was like a machine that I had to go and I had to put in and take a withdrawal, I'll take 24 hours, please. Yes, thank you. Okay, here you go. There's 24 hours. All right. It's kind of like when people want to just use cash. I'll just pay for everything with cash. So now you've got the cash, and now you have to see yourself taking the cash to buy the thing. You tend to spend less. Okay, so that's like some financial planners have taught people how to do that, right? But well, sadly, or maybe fortuitously, we don't sign off and hand the units over when we invest time or blow it on stuff. I think again, younger people tend to feel like they've got a lot of time. But just today, unfortunately, nobody died. Little anecdote, okay? But just today, taking my daughter to her class, uh, here in happy little Clearwater. Okay, I mean there's more city parts of Clearwater too, but I'm just on a road that suburbia, nothing to it, right? We come to a traffic light towards a main road across street, and I'm stopped, and there's like maybe I'm 3 or 4 cars back, and then bam, collision in the intersection, and it was a car hit another car on the side, and that car hit a motorcyclist and knocked him off his bike. Okay, which I'm very sensitive to. Okay, and the biker he was okay, but it's immediately the crash happened, and some guy started running out of one of the cars that was in the collision, started running towards me and my daughter in the van. Okay, and ran past us, running at full speed, sprint, trying to get in other people's cars. Yeah. Next thing you know, the sheriff's on scene, right? And I don't know if this guy was a gang member, wanted felon or something, but he was like, I think he carjacked somebody. He tried to get in one car, and then I couldn't see him. He was behind us, and somebody said, yeah, he got in some person's car and took off. What? Right? So, and I'm not saying, hey, everyone, walk around paranoid and beware of, your life could be over at any minute. But your life could be over at any minute. So I don't know if that was a carjacking, was that a gang member or something? I don't know. I've never seen somebody sprint away from a rather minor collision. I mean, there's no, flames or anything. Even the biker that got knocked off his bike, he stood right back up. But something, right? So value time. That's what I'm doing more. I'm valuing time more. One of the things that one of the things that I value and that I'm willing to exchange time for is to sharpen my saw, which is why I'm involved in Mastermind group, right? Is to sharpen the saw. I need reminders all the time. I'm sure many of you have been through we did the book study on the 7 habits of highly effective people. Number 7 is to sharpen the saw or the axe or whatever the metaphor is. Okay, so that makes me more effective when I am exchanging time for whatever the end product is, or however I intend to get paid for that. I think that the main point is that as I've continued to add years to my life, I've just gotten more conscious of this, with or without near-death experiences like my wife had. Okay, and I've had a couple. Not long lasting or extreme like what she went through. So here's I guess what I'd love to hear from you guys, if you've got some perspective on this. What have you said no to as of late? So this is the mode that I'm in, right? Is putting up now. Here's barriers. Here's boundaries. Whereas if I've got all the time in the world, well then I have no boundaries. Or what was said, there was actually a good quote in that book that we're reading. If you've got more than 3 priorities, you don't have any, right? Yes to everything. Wrong answer. Okay, so I'm looking for right answers on that. Are there things that you've decided to say no to because just no, it's not worth my time? Whereas you had previously said yes, right? That's where I'm going with this. I know we all say no to lots of stuff. John, would you like to be an astronaut? No. Okay, but that was never on my radar. Okay, but what can we cut out? Missy, please, if you will.
Well, I'm a very new entrepreneur, so I'm in a yes mode. But when you talk about delegating, I feel this sense of fear, like this, who can do what I want? Like I can't even imagine delegating anything. And I've got to fix something, because the only way I can make my schedule is the day after I've done everything. And then I put it in the Shannon's book that there's something wrong with that. And the other thing I wanted to ask, when you first started talking about the unconscious conscious, there was this woman I was listening to, and she was talking about her father who made good money. He like struck gold, but he couldn't duplicate it. And she gave him one of those titles that you kind of said she has learned a way to duplicate it, that what her dad couldn't do. So was it just luck? I don't know. But what we want is duplicatable systems. And writing my calendar in the day after I've done everything does not seem like a good duplicatable system.
Ah,
I am completely disorganized for many different reasons. I'm getting a lot of things done, but not efficiently, and I'm exhausting myself.
mhm.
So learn from me, YouTube world. That's not the way it goes. I'm trying to learn to better it. I put some things down, then something happens and I'm thrown off my schedule. But delegating, it has to be done once you've reached a certain point. I understand that. I mean, how do you know that no one could put up the fans as good as you did? Like, how do you, the water is, you had the competency for that. So you don't care so much about the water thing. But if you were an expert, like, what do you do? Fire the person if they make a mistake? I can't even imagine delegating anything I do to anybody.
Right. Right. And so there's a paradigm there. That's how you see the world and life and whatever, is that if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. So that's a trap. That's a trap. Now, when it comes to mechanical things, hanging ceiling fans or whatever, yeah, I'm good. No problem. In fact, I can do it faster than probably anybody else. And I know it's going to be done right because a lot of people do crappy work and whatever. So, and I don't know a handyman yet. I just moved here, right? So, and I need them done. I need them done now, get it done because I got to put the rest of the room together, get those ceiling fans up. So that was expedient. Okay. But learning, the ways of irrigation and stuff and how much pressure on how many nozzles and the spacing and now we're dealing with the well and how long does it take for the well to fill back up again? Yeah. All right. Give me a couple of months and I could do half a crappy job. Okay. Or this guy can come in and knock it out in a day. Yeah, here's $1,000.
You can't delegate, at least I don't think you can. Mela, so many of us here doing Mela, you can't delegate that to somebody. You have to be the conduit.
Okay. Well, but with that, okay. So let's take that up. That's great. And then we're going to hear from Allie. So here is a marketing opportunity behind which is product development. You didn't do that. Legal, accounting, admin, all the other stuff. Yes, you did. You delegated, right? You wear one hat. Okay. And that's the one post that you man and do it well. And then you get the leverage of, you mentioned duplication and here's referrals and everything. So in that environment, sure, I make money again and again and again for work I did, a year ago or whatever. So is that not a leveraged income position? It is. That's good. That's good. In fact, that helped us get through the whole cancer treatment thing, for a year and a half. Money just kept rolling in from work we had done prior. Good investment of time. Because understand, in life, we've got two ways to make money. We've got people working and we have money working. Here's quadrants 1, 2, and 3. Employee, self-employed and business owner. And here's quadrant 4, investor, money working, right? And if we can leverage those two, which is really smart, right? So now we take money and now we buy assets, right? I can tell you just with this house and how friggin' insane the real estate market has been. Shannon just showed me the comps in the area. We've made like 70 grand in 4 months on this house. Yeah. And we bought high. I mean, it wasn't like, hey, everybody, Florida's going to be a hot thing. It was already a hot thing. Like people are flocking to Florida. Arizona's out of control. We're expecting that to go, pretty soon. We'll see what happens with that. Out of control in Arizona. Silly, like stupid money. To the little box of a house we were living in, 2,400 square feet or whatever. Row houses, right? I mean, you could practically shake your neighbor's hand out the window. Right. And a beautiful community, pools and, palm trees and the whole thing. But the guy who bought it from the guy we were renting it from, some guy from California sold out. He needed to put the money somewhere. Hey, let's buy some Arizona. Right. $415,000 for a box. I was like, there's no way. There's no way. And you know what? The previous owner, he said, if you guys want it, I'm like, well, we don't want it. The house is built like crap and whatever. It's, thanks for the nice rental, but we're moving on. But it's like, if you guys want it, I'll give it to you like 385, like we know the guy, he's a nice guy, he's a realtor and everything. And we're like, no. Yeah. So But yeah, I think that's gonna correct pretty abruptly, especially as interest rates go up. This isn't a real estate conversation, but I'll tell you what, I think we made a good choice grabbing some Florida when we did. Grab yourself some Florida. In fact, you know what, Stuart? Strahan's ice cream, which is how I learned how you pronounce it. It's not Strachan's or what I'm like, but Strahan's ice cream in Dunedin is calling for you. They want Stuart in the house. So come on down, brother. Stuart's got family here. Allie, across the pond.
Hi there. Good to see you all. Yes, I think I definitely got sucked into that thing that you can do everything, and that I think I felt certainly starting up my own business that I should learn, and I should get to do it, and so I was just the amount of YouTube videos of learning this platform and that platform, and I think I wasted so much time doing that, where I could have just gone to Fiverr and found somebody to do it, and it would have saved me a lot of time and stress. So I think there's a lot in it, just accepting, isn't it? Just accepting really where your skills lie, and be proud of that, and be happy with that, and be joyous that you can give somebody else some work.
Right. So this was like technology that you were learning about, websites or?
Yeah, absolutely. All the things that come with starting up a new business, with websites and platforms and design and all of that. I felt like I should be able to do it, and I've been very much kind of had to do things. In my theatre company, you're just doing everything, so it's just in my psyche just to do everything, and so it's been a real lesson, and a very valuable lesson to work out where my strengths are, and enhance those and give others rest.
Right. Yeah, we, as you know, we run a branding and marketing agency, and I'm not the web design guy. I'm not the artist. I'm not the designer. None of it. Right? So there's leverage, and and you could find good work freelance as well. So, but my goodness, I remember. Did I share with you guys that I was looking at getting Final Cut, video editing software, Final Cut Pro on a Mac, right? They came out with Final Cut Pro 10, and it's like this breakthrough, right? And the manual for it is like that thick if you wanted to print it out, okay? And just based on that, I decided not to get it. Looks like great software, $200 or whatever, who cares about the price? But read that to learn how to do it. Ouch. No, I'm out. We'll pay the video guy. If I got a quick job, I'll use Camtasia or iMovie or whatever. I do that, do that in my sleep. Awesome. Thank you, Allie. Gail, here comes Gail.
Hi. Just a story about my husband and hiring people to do things. My husband came from a large family, and one brother was a master builder, one brother was a master electrician, one was a master plumber. His father was a jack of all trades. My husband hated any of that. Put him in the kitchen. He was a professor at one of the top schools in the country for cooking, and he loved it. But I remember when we bought our house, he had to start learning to do those things that needed repairs. And one day, the sink in the kitchen, the pipe was dripping underneath, and he worked on that thing for 4 hours, cursing and sweating and throwing things. Finally, he gave up. He called a plumber who came in, and in 15 minutes, he had fixed the problem. And so my husband said, never again. We're always going to have somebody come and do what I can't. That same plumber, if you put him in the kitchen, he probably wouldn't be able to produce a meal. And so I think it's really a good idea to send or outsource and have people do things that you're not good at, because like you said, John, it gives you the time to concentrate on what you know and what you're good at. Your time is very valuable. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and another great example of the power of delegation. Missy, I have no idea what that means. Missy, mind shift must matriculate.
I've got to get out of this thinking that only I can do it. This new world won't work that way. And it's making me feel discomfort. So I have to just go through the discomfort and even let people look at emails that I don't want to do. And I hate that. That takes so much time because I'm paralyzed by the paradigm of if I can't do it, if I don't do it, nobody can do it. So I won't even let Bob help me.
Would you guys benefit from like some special sessions on like copywriting?
Sure.
What?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mentioned, I alluded to a couple times this week already that we've got some ideas that we want to talk about with our core group here, and that is about expanding this platform in some ways and contracting it in others. In other words, getting focused on what's the outcome of participating in this group. And so I'm going to be calling a few of you, and we're going to have some discussions on that. But it's come up a couple of times already. In fact, I think it was yesterday, Glenn talking about, using your gifts, right? My gifts are not irrigation systems. My gifts are communications, sales, that sort of thing. So if you guys are interested in that, I think we might go heavier in that direction. Because look, so many people have attention on, like we're talking about, different enterprises and businesses, self-employed business owners, et cetera. So much attention on, getting leads, bringing in traffic to their website or, appointments on the books. And yet, if you can't sell, well, you can have a million leads. Who cares, right? So I think we're gonna get more into some of the conversions aspect of how we apply these philosophies. Obviously, what we do here in general session is talk about, how does this aspect of life work or not, based on whatever the facilitator is going through at the moment, and usually it's pretty relatable, unless we're talking about Star Trek conventions. I have no idea, but Glenn always seems to get something out of it and brings it back to us. Anyway, I didn't understand your use of the word matriculate, so I looked it up, and I still don't understand how you're using that word, but that's okay. That's okay.
I'm graduating to a new Missy who can understand these things and understand that delegation is necessary. Matriculation is graduating to the next level.
It's be enrolled at a college or university, or admit a student to a college or university. Second definition, record in an official register, as in Scottish Arms.
No, don't use that definition.
Okay.
I'm thinking of it as graduating to a new me.
It's enrolling into.
Well, I'm rolling into the new Missy mind.
Got it. Okay.
You're going to like it much better.
Thank you for the clarification. I know the dictionary is vast and I don't know it all. Hi, Ingrid, and then we'll go to Stuart.
Hi.
There she is. Ingrid, ladies and gentlemen, with her awesome QR code.
Not fun.
It's fun. What's coming up for you, my friend?
So, I think what really helps people to delegate is imagining that you're dead, and really life keeps going. All your shit keeps going. No one is indispensable. So there you go.
Well, there's
I think of that a lot, actually, when I'm feeling like I'm getting control freaky. I'm like, actually, if I just wasn't here, they'd figure it out. So that's really kind of relieving, I find, for me.
Yeah. Psychologically, it's like you don't have to have all the answers, because what if you weren't even around anymore?
Yeah.
Which at some point will be the case. Okay. So that doesn't mean that that you're apathetic or you just, you don't do your work or whatever, right? You still show up.
No, I just feel it takes some pressure off when I'm getting like, oh my God, I'm the only one that can do all these things. Because everyone gets there, right? And then it's like, oh, but actually, it's not true. There are other people that can do the things.
Right. Good. Makes sense to me. I just pulled up your virtual business card. That's awesome.
You loving it?
I love it. Good times. Stuart?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
John. Wow, a lot to chew on today. I'll work backwards a little bit. So Ingrid, you just reminded me of the Stoic concept of memento mori, remember that you will die. And the great Stoics would meditate on their own death in order to appreciate their lives and what they had. And Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher king, literally hired somebody to just follow him around all the time and whisper in his ear, "You are only mortal. Remember that you are going to die." As people were throwing roses at him and worshiping him as the emperor and all this stuff, he had some dude, "You're just a man. You're going to die." Right. So very interesting concept. And then that doubles onto memento vivere. So remember that you will die to remember how to live, right? So very cool. Thanks for bringing that up. Allie, I totally relate to what you're talking about in terms of, the entrepreneurial do everything kind of deal. A lot of it for me came out of the fact that I started my business when I was in my early 20s, and I really didn't have a lot of resources, but I sure had a lot of time. And so I just taught myself how to do everything and still have challenges, kind of like what Missy was talking about as well, the ability to delegate, right? But I still am in this mindset of, I got to do my own website. I have to do my own graphic design. I do my own networking. I do my own marketing, all that, everything. John, I think about you a lot. When I first moved out here 30 something years ago, and for those of you that don't know, I live kind of in the wilderness of New Mexico, and that's just what we do out here. Everybody pretty much, does everything for themselves because, first of all, there's not a whole lot of people out here, and second of all, you call somebody to do something, and who knows when they're going to show up. So when I first moved out here, I was a city suburban kid from East Coast, New York, and I took on this project of this funky old A-frame cabin that was built in the 60s on a sheet of acid or something like that. And then the people just kind of left. And when I moved out here, I was a single dad. I found this place, the rats had taken it over kind of deal. And this was where I was going to live. And I worked out a deal with the owners where, I would do work trade in order to live there just to get the place livable. I worked off like 10 years worth of rent. So, this is how I started my business, how I was able to create a life for myself out here, be a single parent, all this kind of stuff. Taught myself carpentry, taught myself plumbing, had funky old cars that always needed work, had to teach myself mechanics, right? So when you start talking about sprinkler guy and what's your time worth, I immediately think about working on vehicles and all kinds of stuff like that. And sure, can I do it? Yeah, and then at the end of the gig, it's, bloody knuckles and, I don't have the right tools. And at a certain point, you realize why experts get paid what they get paid, right? You can bitch and moan about the, $1.25 an hour that a plumber gets or a mechanic or whatever. But once you start trying to do what that person is doing, you realize that there's a gigantic learning curve. And sure, when I didn't have resources, that's what I did. I taught myself how to rebuild engines and how to rebuild transmissions and how to fix old cars and all this kind of stuff. At a certain point, when resources were plentiful, then I shifted my mindset to where, I don't need to do all that anymore, right? What's my time worth, right? And so I appreciate and as much as I know you're talking about like, what do you say no to? Like I'm hearing today, like, what's your time worth, right? And that's what's resonating with me. Sprinkler guy, well guy, right? Yeah, I had to teach myself all about, okay, yeah, our well guy out here, they come with the big rig, they drill down, I live at 8,000 plus feet above sea level. And so we're sitting on top of a big aquifer, but yeah, the water's far down there. And so, yeah, I immediately knew what the cost per foot of drilling a well is out here, right? But interestingly enough, I recently delved into drip irrigation. And it's a little bit of what you're talking about, right? And there's a lot of math and a lot of calculation. I'm also dealing with solar, as we've talked about, and calculations of kilowatt hours and all these things. And I'm still in this mindset of, jack of all trades, master of a few, right? I'm not a fan of master of none, because I feel like if you're a Jack or a Jane of all trades or many things, then you at least better be good at a few of them. Maybe not, professionally proficient at everything, but at least, you should, if you invest your time in learning things, right? This goes back to Napoleon Hill, specialized knowledge and all that kind of stuff. If you invest your time in learning something, then you best be good at least some of those things. I'm not so much a whittler, but I was, when I first moved to New Mexico, I was a production woodworker and a chandler. So I was a chandler and a luthier. These are words that are kind of old world words that maybe Ali and some of our UK friends might be aware of, right? When you think chandler, most people in the US think of, oh, the guy from Friends, right? Or whatever. But a chandler is a candle maker, like a chandelier, right? So a chandler is a candle maker. So when I first moved out here to New Mexico, I found this crazy guy out in the desert who was, had this candle making business. And that was my first gig out here, was dipping candles all day for, $4.50 an hour. Talk about employment quadrant, right? And the Kiyosaki book kind of changed my life in a lot of ways. And it's one of the first, let's say, gifts that you gave to me, John, was, the reading list when we first started on this journey together, and reading Kiyosaki's book and going through this understanding of the employee quadrant. And I think, yes, most of us at least start there. I don't know if I could say I was born there. My father was a CEO, corporate exec, New York City guy. But of course, I started my journey as an employee. Missy North Shore Animal League reference there, right? So I was the kennel guy, which is a nice way of saying the guy who scrapes up the shit in the dog kennels or whatever. But that was my gig. But after I started my business as an entrepreneur, I think this is the challenge, and this goes to what both Ali and Missy were speaking about: the challenge of scaling and creating a repetitious, right, a scalable business model, and also being the one who does everything. And so I remember reading about, and I thought I was really, great for being self-employed, right? And then you realize at a certain point when you're self-employed, there's that tendency to where you're the business, and you can work as hard as you want and you reap those benefits. And it's a hell of a lot better than being an employee. But if you stop working, whether for me it was health issues or COVID shutting down my business or whatever it was, right, then you got no residual income, right? So this was big eye openers for me. And in the quadrant book, what's it called again, John?
Cash flow quadrant?
Cash flow quadrant. Kiyosaki drops a couple of anecdotes, and the one that still brings tears to my eyes as a personal connection is the town, and I think of like an Arizona town, right? There's no water in the town, and there's a lake a mile out of town, and the town puts in, and everybody would have to go and get buckets of water every day, to meet their water needs. So the town puts out an RFP for, somebody to bring water to the town, and there are two bidders. One is a guy that says, I'll bring the water to the town. He's got a mule or whatever, and he goes and he all day long gets buckets of water and go the mile out, a mile back. He works, 18 hours a day, dragging buckets of water back for the town. He probably makes good money, has no time, totally exhausted. The other person is the entrepreneur who looks at the problem and says, oh, well, let's create a system, right? And so he hires a team to come and build a pipeline and, engineers and architects, and they build aqueducts and all this kind of stuff. And he creates this whole system to bring water to the town. And then the guy's gone, but he's making money. Whereas, bucket guy is, still going back and forth every day. And at the end of his career, he wants to pass off his business to his children. His children don't want anything to do with it. They watch this guy work himself to the bone his whole life, right? And I was like, I'm the bucket guy. Like, I totally, I had a wonderful business and made great money and absolutely loved and enjoyed what I did. But I realized that the moment I stopped moving, that was it, right? And so it was very interesting trying to sort of redefine, recreate. Anyway, great stuff. Oh, and so for me, in terms of what I say no to, and this was an interesting thing because, again, I had a health issue with my back. I had a fractured spine. Wasn't able to, do my gig. And then COVID as well, kind of, took a huge mortar shell to the tourism industry here in New Mexico, right? So my business is shut down. And so I had to say no to operating my business, for those two reasons, very different reasons, but still, I had to say no, to the point where our phone is still ringing every day. I get emails every day. Hey, we want to go out with the llamas. Hey, we want to go hiking. Hey, we want to go camping. And as tough as it's been, as a struggling e-commerce entrepreneur, and yeah, there's, we're doing okay. And, we've got income being generated from our e-commerce, but it's not, we haven't quite replaced our outdoor recreation business income, right? And so on a daily basis, I'm like, oh, when can I start up again, right? Because I'm thinking about, the difference between, my income generation, right? And I've really had to just be like, no, my health comes first. I've got to get back to, the point where I can do such things, and then even think about, do I even really want to be the bucket guy again, right? Or how can I scale and hire people, right? And Missy, you were talking about, I can't even imagine hiring somebody, right? And so to me, it's almost like an exercise in cloning. Like I have to teach somebody to, be the guy that knows every plant in the wilderness and knows how to work with the llamas and knows how to, survive and teach people. So it's been a very interesting thing. John, I see you're sitting at the edge of your seat.
I am. I know you've also got, part of your pay for that is the reward of the hiking and the interactions and the llamas, right? So it's not like, oh, I got to go do another friggin' llama tour.
Oh, no.
My goodness, right? No.
No, those rewards have been great. And
Right.
Yeah, and if I didn't mention that, thank you for reminding me, because yeah, it's much more than a financial reward. I've had the blessing for my whole adult life of being able to do what I love and love what I do, and never felt like I had to work a day in my life, even though, a lot of physical labor over the course of a long day kind of thing. But at the end of the day, I never, I never felt like, oh, I can't do this another day or whatever. I wake up every day just joyous and excited to hit the ground running and go out there and do what I do. So absolutely, those rewards are incalculable. It's priceless, right? So I think that's just a lesson for all of us in terms of, if you're doing what you love, it never feels like work, and the rewards are different than just a couple of zeros in your bank account or whatever. Anyway, man, thank you, John. A lot to think about today.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for your participation. I think a lot of times people are looking to get into stuff, which again is a sign of I think youth. I want to get in, get my foot in the door, right? And now I'm looking to get out of stuff, right? Kind of like the tendency for people to accumulate right? Get heavier and heavier, buy this, buy. And now it's like, you know what? Do I need that? No, here, you take that. I don't want that. Right. So interesting stuff. Now, if we can get this earlier, I know we've got some mature people here with us, right? But if we can get these lessons even earlier, wow, what a relief, I think. But as the old German saying goes, too soon old, too late smart. So anyway, love you guys. I will be back here with you tomorrow for an awesome discussion, which we're going to have tomorrow. For those of you on YouTube, I see a couple of you. Thank you for tuning in. Destiny and Jay Cook, thank you for your comments in the chat. If I can do anything for you personally, you know how to reach me. Hit me up on email. And of course, for our members here, we've got some stuff we're going to be talking about, as we move forward with growing the platform and putting some other things on the calendar. So anyway, I'll wrap up with that. We'll see you